News correspondent is in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Joshua, welcome to KTRS here in St. Louis.
Good morning.
What can you tell us? What's the latest?
So at the moment, the government's doing everything it can under a logistical cloud and nightmare to get basic supplies and fuel to small towns, to hospitals, to dialysis centers, to anything and anyone that desperately needs it nearly a week after the hurricane.
Are they getting significant or at least support from the federal government?
The federal government has been lending a tremendous amount of support, and as much as they can in arriving on the island or pre-positioning people on the island. Now it's becoming evident that the problem of the lack of telecommunication, the lack of being able to call anyone, is a real issue. And it's really put a huge roadblock in the way of recovery, really.
We hear that 97% of the island still doesn't have any power, which is unbelievable. We hear about cash machines not working. Things after a week have to be getting pretty dicey around there. What about violence or looting or anything like that? Are you hearing anything like that?
So at the moment, the government has a curfew that starts at 7 p.m. that runs until 5 in the morning. Last night, we had just walked out minutes after 7 p.m. and immediately a police officer stopped us, asking us if we were a member of the press or if we were emergency services. If not, anyone who was actually outside in curfew was getting arrested and you're thrown in jail for 6 months. And so they're trying to be very proactive in stopping those things. But again, it's only been a week since, so there's still much more time for this island to go.
What about food and water? Do people have enough food and water?
So running water, to separate those two things, running water is an issue on this island to begin with. Nearly half the island cannot turn on a faucet and get running water. I mean, if you had bottled water, if you were lucky enough to be able to purchase bottled water, then you have something, but you probably didn't think that you would need to stock up for more than a week's worth of water. So that is one issue in itself. And food, there are supermarkets that are slowly opening up. There are bakeries that are slowly opening up, but they have themselves only limited supplies. And so, by early morning, they have sold out on whatever they have. And so, again, the Puerto Rican National Guard, FEMA, they've been doing as much as they can to distribute the meals that they have and the bits of food that they have. But it's becoming more and more difficult, and they're running up against the clock a lot more.
Are you calling us from a cell phone? And can we assume, though, that cell phone service is actually working?
Yes, I am calling you off of a cell phone. There is one provider in San Juan that has been working somewhat reliably. If I leave the main strip of hotels that I'm on right now and, hop over one small island over, I will no longer have cell service. If I go 2 blocks away from where I am, I will not have cell service. I mean, it's that critical and dicey of a situation.
John McCain is making a big push to waive the Jones Act, which will help Puerto Rico. We have about less than a minute. Can you explain that and what the controversy is?
If I remember correctly, because there's a lot that's been going around. So the island is an incredible fiscal crisis in and of itself. And Marco Rubio actually mentioned it yesterday. This island's been hit by Irma, Maria, and they have always had this fiscal crisis. And so there's this big part of the federal government where 25% of all FEMA money that is to be pushed out needs to be provided by the state or the Commonwealth or territory. And this territory does not have that money. And so they're trying to waive whatever they can so that Puerto Rico could actually receive funds without having to pay it up front or pay any portion. And the governor has called on Congress to do it, and everyone here has been waiting.
We'll just wait and see what happens. Joshua Hoyos, ABC News correspondent, on a cell phone from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Joshua.